Okay. So I think I can start the class now. Maybe I try a lot of time to call the support, but they didn't answer me. So maybe the computer doesn't work. So today we have to look at my handout. Okay. And we move on to the next chapter, chapter 10. Chapter 10. So in this chapter we will learn about the hypothesis testing. Okay. If you don't have handout, you can get this. Okay. And okay, for example, in the real life, anyone can make the claim about the population parameters. For example, they can tell you like there are 85% students at Western University using Instagram, like this, or they said maybe 45 students at Western University have a GPA more than 304, something like this. So a lot of people can make a statement, and the thing here is, so how do we test this statement? How do we test about this? How do we know this statistic is correct or not correct? Okay, and this, okay, and today we learn chapter 10 is about this. Okay, we will when we have about a statement, when we have a statement, so we can we will test about it. How do we test it about this claim? For example, we have claim like this, like okay, 85% student at Western University, something like this, using Instagram or using something like this. And okay, that's the claim. And the question is, how do we test this? How do we test this claim? Okay, this is the proportion parameters. Okay, this is the proportion parameter. So that is the purpose of this chapter, chapter 10. Okay, and in this chapter we will learn. Okay, let's see. I write. So we have two things we will learn today. The goal of today is we will learn two things. The first thing we will learn about what is the node and alternative hypothesis. What is the node and what is the alternative hypothesis? And today we will not learn any calculation. We will not have any calculation. We just focus on the concept and the properties of this concept. And the second one, we will learn about the error type in hypothesis testing. So we will learn this. We'll learn error type when we make a decision. When we make a decision, we will make the correct decision, or we will make the error type, arrow, right? So we have two arrows in this chapter. So when we make decision, when we listen for some statement or about the research study about the statistic, so after that we will make the decision. And we have two cases. When we have the decision, we have two cases. We have the correct decision, and we will have the mistake. Okay. And then we have mistake. We have two kind of, okay, we have error, and we have two kind of error with type 1 and type 2. So I will tell you what is type 1, what is type 2 here. Okay, that is the goal for today. Okay, and now we move on to the first one. What is the null and what is the alternative hypothesis? Okay. Okay. The first concept called hypothesis testing. What is the hypothesis testing? The hypothesis testing is the technique for testing a claim. Okay. And let me write down here. We have the hypothesis testing. What is hypothesis testing? That is a technique we use for test a claim about the population parameter, and in the population parameter, we will focus on two kinds of population parameter. The first one, that is the population mean, and the second one we will focus on the population proportion. Two kind of the parameter we will focus on in this chapter. Okay. Regarding the population mean, like they will set there are maybe 50% students at West State University who have a GPA which is greater than 3 over 4. That is the mean, right? That is the mean population. And regarding the population proportion, that is used for the qualitative data, like using Facebook, using people using Instagram, something like this. 50% students using Instagram, like this. That is population proportion. And today we will focus on to test these claims about these parameters. Okay, is it clear? That is the purpose. And regarding the hypothesis, we have two kinds of hypothesis. We have the alternative, and we have the null hypothesis. Okay. The alternative will be null by H alpha, and the null will be null by H0. What about this? The alternative hypothesis is a mathematical statement. It's a mathematical statement. Describe the population parameter, and it's in the hypothesis. We have two things about. The first, this is the mathematical statement. And the second one is the hypothesis that the researcher is aiming to gather evidence in favor of. That is the hypothesis that the researcher want to prove, want to investigate. That is the alternative hypothesis. And the null hypothesis is different. That is opposite the alternative. Okay. The null here is the mathematical opposite of the alternative hypothesis. That is the first one. Is the opposite. The alternative. This is the first thing. And the second thing here is it's always include equality. It's always include equality. That is the thing. So I will give you the example for this. Okay, I write it down here. Okay. Okay. For example, we will focus on two kinds of. I remember this is the mean and proportion. Mean here in mu and proportion in p, in number p, for example. Okay. And okay. So now you will look at the example 1. Determine the null an alternative hypothesis for each given situation. So we go to the example 1. At Northwest Community College, syllabi for online classes state that students should expect to spend 10 hours per week doing coursework for each 3 credit out class. And the director of learning for the community college is concerned that students are being required to spend more than 10 hours per week doing work for each 3 credit course. Okay. In this example, which kind of parameter they concern? Mean or proportion? In this example, they concern mean or they talk about proportion. Could you tell me, in this example, they focus on the mean or they focus on the proportion? They want to investigate about the mean or they want to investigate about the proportion? Could you tell me about this? Okay, Tyler, please. Proportion? Any other question? Any other answer? So in this example, they focus on the mean because they spend 10 hours per week doing coursework for each credit hour class. So they focus on the mean. Okay, Tyler. Okay, so we have two kind of the mean, okay, because they want to the mean or proportion. Okay, they want to talk about the mean. So we have two kind of hypotheses. X is 0 and X alpha. X alpha is the alternative hypothesis. Okay, the first thing when we talk about these hypotheses, we will focus on the alternative hypothesis first, and after that we will look at the null hypothesis. Okay. Okay. In order to determine what the hypothesis, alternative hypothesis is, so you will think about this. We will first ask ourselves, what does the director want to gather in evidence for? Or the director here is the researcher, right? The director of learning for the community college is concerned that is he is the researcher, right? Okay. What does the director want to gather evidence for? That we want to answer this question. And he concerned that students are being required to spend more than 10 hours, right? This is the keyword. Spend more than 2 hours. More than 10 hours. Okay, that is the research question. So we answer this hypothesis. We will check this, right? Okay. So the hypothesis, alternative hypothesis here is mu is greater than 10. Right? Is it clear? Mu is greater than 10. That is the alternative hypothesis. Okay. And regarding the null hypothesis, that means that this is the opposite the alternative hypothesis. When we talk about the opposite side of this one, could you tell me what is the opposite side of this hypothesis in mathematical and in the mathematical statement? Okay, you please. Okay, mu is less than or equal 10, right? Okay. Mature. Okay, and that is it's not it's the opposite side of this hypothesis. But you see that the null hypothesis is the mathematical opposite. It's not. It's just one condition. The second one is it will always include equalities. So mu here must be equal 10, right? Equal 10. This include the equalities, okay? Not include the inequalities, okay? So that we will choose this. So we have the null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis is as follows. And the null hypothesis is the mean is equal 10. The alternative hypothesis is mu is greater than 10. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay, I will give you another example. So we look at uh, the copy of this example. Okay. Okay, I want to determine what is the null hypothesis and what is the alternative hypothesis. Okay. After learning that Peter Collard of Switzerland could hold his breath for 19 minutes and 21 seconds underwater, a group of students decided to conduct their science fair project amount of time an average adult can hold his or her breath. Okay, and that's the introduction statement. No, nothing to do here. And part of the found research suggested those can hold their breath for 30 seconds. Okay, hold their breath for 30 seconds. Okay, and the other half of group found evidence to suggest that the mean time is different if the water temperature is colder. Okay, so we have the research question here is okay, so I will write down here. Okay, they found the evidence. Okay, the keyword here is evidence. They found the evidence that the mean time is different here is different from 30 seconds, right? Different from 30 seconds, right? Because in the research they said a dog can hold their breath for 30 seconds, and the research group here say that the mean time is different from 30 seconds, right? Okay, it's different if the water temperature is colder. The difference here is mean that it's different from 30 seconds, right? Is it clear? And now we will have this is the alternative hypothesis. So we will translate this sentence to the mathematical statement. That means that the mean time here is mu is different from 30. Right? Different from 30. Okay, when we have the alternative hypothesis, so you can enlighten the null hypothesis. The null hypothesis here is mu equal to 30. That is opposite the alternative hypothesis. Okay, is it clear, guys? That is the alternative and null hypothesis. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay, so today we don't have any projector, so it's different. It's difficult. Okay, so now I move on to the section 2. Section 2 is the error type in hypothesis test. I have error type here. Okay. When we have the hypothesis like this, we have the x0, the null hypothesis. And we have the alternative hypothesis. This is the research want to do. And then we will make a decision about the null hypothesis. Okay, and then we will make a decision about x0. For example, we have the null hypothesis is 85% of students at West State University using Instagram. That is null hypothesis. And there are research group. They will investigate if this statement is correct or not. Okay, they will do the research. And that is the alternative. They will try to confirm this claim. That is the alternative. And after that, they will make a decision about x0. They will make a decision about the null hypothesis, right? Okay. And we have two kind of decision. We have two kind of decision. We will reject the no hypothesis. For example, we have the hypothesis is 85% of students at Western University using Instagram. Okay, so we have two cases. The first one, we will reject this statement. If we will reject this statement, right? We will not agree with this statement. Okay, you think maybe the number will not 85% or less than or greater than 85%, something like this. So we will reject this hypothesis. That is the first case. And the second one, we will accept this. Accept x0. Not accept. In this case, they will not use the accept. They will use the word like fail to reject x0. Some textbook they use the accept, but some textbook they don't use the accept. Okay, but they use the weaker statement. They use the fail to reject. But you can think about the accept x0. In real life, fail to reject x0 doesn't mean that you accept x0, right? But so you can think about it like this: reject x0 and fail to reject x0. Okay. And when you make the decision about this, so you have some, you will make the correct decision or you will not make the correct decision, right? When you do not make the correct decision, you will get some error. So we will talk about this. Okay, I will draw down the table for this. Okay, it depends on the case of x0, you will make the decision about the x0. Okay, reject x0 or fail to reject x0. When the x0 is true and when x0 is false. So we have two cases. The first one we reject x0, and the second one we accept or fail to reject x0. Okay, we have two cases. Okay. When x0 is true, like the statement about 85% students at Western University using Instagram, that statement is true. In this case, if you reject x0 when x0 is true, that is the incorrect decision, right? Right? x0 is true, so you reject it. That is the mistake, right? That is called a Taiwan error. Okay, you cannot reject the statement that is true, right? When x0 is true and you reject x0, that means you make the error. So in this case, this is called a Taiwan error. Okay, clear? When x0 is false and you reject x0, that means you make the correct decision, right? So that is the correct decision. Is it clear in this column? Clear, right? Okay. Okay. So now we will look at the second case about the decision. Failed. Okay. This is the decision. The second decision here is we fail to reject x0, or sometimes we call accept 0. Okay. We will look at the case of the x0. When x0 is true and we fail to reject x0, in this case, that is the correct decision, right? x0 is true and we fail to reject x0. That means sometimes we call it, we accept x0. That means we will make the correct decision. And in other words, if x0 is false, so we fail to reject x0. That means sometimes we accept the false statement. In this case, we call this is type 2 error. We cannot accept the false statement. Okay. So that is the second type error. Any questions so far? That is the definition for some error types in hypothesis tests. Okay. Okay. So now we look at the example 2. Okay. Look at example 2. Insurance companies commonly use 10,000 miles as the mean number of miles in a car is driven per month. Okay. One insurance company claims that, okay, this is the null hypothesis. Okay. They claim that the mean is more than 10,000 miles per month, right? 10,000 miles per month. The insurance company's test, okay, this is the researcher. The insurance company test its claim with the hypothesis test and decides to reject the null hypothesis. Okay, assume in the reality the mean number of miles in a car driven per month is this number. Was an error made? If so, what type? So the first step here, you need to write. Okay, you need to determine the node and the alternative hypothesis. Okay. First, we need to determine what is the node and what is the alternative hypothesis. And okay, and they said that, okay, they said that the mean is more than 1,000 miles per month. That is the researcher. That is the researcher when they do research, right? They said that the mu will be greater than 1,000, right? And the null hypothesis is said that in the first sentence, insurance companies commonly use 10,000 miles as the mean number, as you can see in the first sentence. And this is in the second sentence. Okay, insurance companies commonly use 10,000 miles as the mean number of miles a car in driver per month. That is the null hypothesis. And one insurance company claims that, okay, they do research and they claim that due to our mobile society, the mean is more than 1,000 miles. Okay, that's either null and alternative hypothesis. Okay, that is the step 1. And the step 2, we will look at the decision. Okay, I write down here. The step 2, we will look at the decision. Okay, the decision here is he rejects the null hypothesis. Okay, he rejects the null hypothesis. Okay, and now okay, that is the null and hypothesis, and this is the decision. And step 3, we will check X0. Okay. Assume that in reality, the mean number of miles a car is driven per month is 1,250 miles. What does it mean? This means X0 is false or X0 is true. This sentence false, right? Okay. X0 is false. Okay, thank you. That's it. So when we check this, so that means that the X0 is false. So now we will summarize all the information here. We will summarize this and we will check that they make the correct decision or not. Okay? Okay, look at this. X0 is false. This is the one. And they fail to reject. Okay, they reject or fail to reject. Okay, they reject, right? They reject. And X0 is false. So we go this. So that is the correct decision, right? Okay, is it clear, guys? Similarly, okay, now we move on to the second example. So now that we do this step by step. The first one, we will check the, we will determine the known and alternative hypothesis. That's important. Okay. A study on the effect of television viewing on children reports that children watch a mean of 4 hours of television per night, right? That is the null hypothesis, right? They said that children watch the television per night 4 hours, right? So that means mu here is 4. And Kiko is the researcher. Kiko believes that the mean number of hours children in her neighborhood watch television per night is not 4 hours. So that means mu here is different from 4. Okay, so remember that the null hypothesis always include equality. Remember that. That is the first step. The second step here, step 2. We will look at the decision. Okay, so with the decision here, reject or fail to reject, which is the decision of this researcher. He reject the hypothesis, or he failed to reject. Okay, rejected, right? So now he rejected, right? X0. Okay, that is the step 2. And step 3, so now we will look at the X0 is incorrect or not. Assume that in reality, children in her neighborhood do watch a mean 4 hours of television per night. So what is it? X0 is true or X0 is false? Is this? Oh yeah, it's true, right? X0 is true. Okay, so now you will look at the table. X0 is true, right? And he rejects X0, right? So that is the Taiwan error. Basically, Taiwan error. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay, so this is the beginning of hypothesis testing. So the knowledge for this is just like this. So now we will look at some practice. We'll do some practice, and maybe I will ask you a question about question 1 to 7 to practice to understand these materials. Okay, let's have 3 times. Okay, so could you tell me about? Could you solve for me the question 1? A new lecture publisher believes that more than 79 of their readers own a personal computer. We want to find evidence to substantiate. This is a support. Okay, we want to find evidence to support the publisher claim. State the null and alternative hypothesis for this situation. Think about this in a few seconds. Think about this. Question 1. We have 2 kind of hypothesis, X0, X alpha. So X alpha, the hypothesis, alternative hypothesis belong to the researcher, and the null hypothesis is belong to the original. That's the keyword. So we look at this one. We want to find evidence to substantiate the publisher's claim. Okay, and we substantiate, right? We support the claim. That is researcher. Want to support the claim. Okay, what is the claim? a researcher wants to support the claim. So what is the claim? The claim here is more than 70% of their readers on a personal computer. Okay. They want to support this claim, right? They want to support this claim. So that means that is the alternative hypothesis, because they want to support this claim, right? So they want to solve that the proportion is greater than 95%, or is equal to, you can write is 0.79. And regarding the null hypothesis, that means it's equal to this first percentage, because the null hypothesis always equal. Remember this. Is it clear, guys? That's the things. So when you look at the question, you need to look at the researcher support or they want to refute. Support or refute. Okay. In this case, they support this claim, so that means that they want to prove that there are more than 79% of the readers on a personal computer. So we have two kind of hypotheses here. Okay. That we finished question 1. Okay. Now we move on to question 2. The newsletter publisher believes that 33% of their readers own a Rolls Royce. We want to find the evidence to refute the publisher claims, state the null and alternative hypothesis in this situation. Could you tell me? Okay, they refuse, right? They refuse the claim. They refuse the claim. 33% of their readers. Blah blah blah. Okay. So what is the alternative hypothesis here? Okay, Mackenzie, please.
The mean does not equal 0.33.
Okay, this is the mean or proportion in this situation.
Proportion.
Okay, proportion. Thank you. Correctly. The proportion. Okay. The first thing we need to determine what is this is the proportion, not the mean. Okay. This is the proportion. The proportion is different from 0.33. Okay. Thank you, Mackenzie. Is it clear, guys? Because in this case they want to refuse the claim. The claim here is 33% of the readers on a Rolls Royce. So that means that the percentage is different from this number. Okay. And now the null hypothesis is exactly this number. Okay. This is we finished the question. Okay, so now we move on to the question 3 and 4. That is the multiple choice. Okay. Okay. So this similar question, the newsletter publisher believes that less than 62% of their readers own a laptop for marketing purpose. A potential advertiser wants to confirm this claim. So confirms here is it's not support, but it's similar to the support here. Okay. It's similar, not exactly, because support and confirm is different in English. But here, so we can see that confirm and support is the same in this situation, in this hypothesis testing. In the hypothesis testing, we can say support and confirm is similar. So we have I0 and I sample. The first thing. They want to support the statement that less than 62% of their readers own a laptop. So could you tell me what is the alternative hypothesis here? Is it proportion or mean? This is the first thing. Mean or proportion? This is a proportion, right? The proportion. And this is less than 60%, 62%. That means this P is less than 0.62, right? Okay. And of course, the null hypothesis is exactly this number. And the decision here is the advertise to fail to reject X0. Okay, so now you look at the conclusion. What is the conclusion regarding the public search claim? Okay, they fail to reject it. So what does it mean? There is sufficient evidence that the percentage is less than 62%. And there is not sufficient evidence that to say that the percentage is less than 62%. So what you choose? Matu, please. A. Why you choose A?
Because it shows that the proportion is less than 62%.
Okay. Okay, if you choose A, right, there is sufficient evidence that you have enough evidence, right? You have enough evidence to show this. The percentage is less than 0.62. That means that you accept it. When you accept it, you cannot reject this, right? When you accept it, you cannot reject this, right? So in this case, A is not correctly. Okay, clear, right? So B, there is not sufficient evidence to say that percentage is less than 62%. That means that they don't have enough evidence. They don't have enough evidence, sufficient evidence to show this statement incorrectly, right? So they have to fail. They have failed to reject this. That's why this textbook use the concept fail to reject this instead of using the concept that accept this. Okay, you don't have enough evidence to show this statement. This mean that you don't this doesn't mean that you will accept this, right? You just fail to reject this. Okay, clear, guys? Okay, that is the things. So here is the question. Here is B. The answer here is B. There is not sufficient evidence to say that the percentage is less than 62%. Okay. Now we look at the question 4. A newsletter publisher believes that 52% of their readers own a Rolls-Royce. A testing firm believes this is incorrect. Okay. A testing firm believes this is an inaccurate. That means they don't support, right? They refuse this claim. Okay, they refuse this claim. That means that okay, the claim here is 52% of their readers, and here they refuse this. That means that the percentage here, the proportion here is different from this number, right? And of course, the null hypothesis is 0.32. Okay? Any questions so far about this? Okay. So now you will look at the decision here. The decision here is designed to reject the null hypothesis. They want to reject this. So what is the conclusion regarding the public search claims? There is sufficient evidence that percentage is not 52%, or there is not sufficient evidence to say that the percentage is not 52%. Lead, please.
There is sufficient evidence.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Your answer correctly. Okay. In this case, they reject this, right? They reject this. That means that they have enough evidence to show this incorrectly, right? That is, there is sufficient evidence that the percentage is not 52%. So now we choose A. It's not difficult in this case. Okay, we will do one more question, so we'll finish this today. Okay, question 5. Okay, question 5. So the first thing we need to write down what is the alternative and what is the null hypothesis. One researcher stayed 2.5 hours as the mean amount of television. Okay, and one parent claimed that the mean amount of television watched by children per night is less than 2.5 hours, right? So that is researcher. So mu here is less than 2.5 and hypothesis here is 2.5. Okay. And the decision here is reject the decision. Reject the zero. So we look at the table. Reject x0. X0, right? So we have two cases. X0 is true. X0 is false. So in this case, in reality, the mean of amount television watched by children per night is 2.5 hours. So in this case, x0 is true or x0 is false.
It's true.
Yeah, it's true. Thank you. It's true. So they reject x0, right? Reject. Okay, sorry, not reject x0. It's either fail to reject x0. Okay, it failed to reject x0 and x0 is true, so it is a correct decision or not?
Correct decision.
Exactly, correct decision. Thank you. So now we finish this today. Okay, let me make attendance for you, and after that you can leave the